Hey everybody, it's Gomedex, and welcome to the Tarkir Dragonstorm Play Booster Arena Direct event. This is kind of a new Arena Direct event. They've changed the structure of these events quite a bit, but the core remains the same. Arena Directs have always been your way to win some physical booster boxes and Magic the Gathering cards by playing digital Magic on Arena, but now instead of paying 5,000 gems to enter, you have to pay 6,000 gems to enter, so there is a bit of an upcharge there. And you have to get 7 wins to get max prize out instead of 6 wins with just as many losses of breathing room. So it's even harder to get the max prize out and it's more expensive to enter. But in exchange, you get a lot more back at lower win rates. Before, you would only break even at 5 wins, you'd get your entry fee back. And then 6 wins, you'd get that max prize out. At 4 wins, you'd be down in gems. And at 3 wins or less, you would get literally nothing. This time, at 3 wins, you get pretty much half your entry fee back. At 4 wins, you get basically your whole entry fee back. At 5 wins, you're in the money. 6 wins, you're very in the money. And 7 wins now is the max prize out. So if you're a really competitive player and the only goal that you have in these events is getting the absolute maximum prize out, getting the full 2 play booster boxes, or especially in the collector booster box events, if your goal is only to get the collector booster box, then it's going to be harder and more expensive to do so. But if your goal is to play this as much as possible, and if you only have enough to play it once, you're much more likely to get something back out of the event for that hefty entry fee than you were before. So there is that going for it. It's interesting. I think it all probably balances out to be a little bit worse value, a little bit worse estimated value per run, but not significantly so because, again, if we're going to spam the run until we can get the max prize out like we've done before, then we'll get quite a bit of our entry fees back over time on our failed runs to help go towards future runs here. So interesting changes to the event. I think I personally would have preferred it the old way around, but I understand why they did it this way. This makes it feel a lot less bad to not make it all the way to the boxes, as long as you don't go 2 or less wins. That'll still feel really bad. But our goal in this Arena Direct event, as it always has been in all the past ones, is to play these until we can win some booster boxes. So we're going to give this as many runs as it takes to get at least one Tarkir Dragonstorm play booster box. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into the event. Let's bust open our 6 packs of Tarkir Dragonstorm, see what sweet stuff we get to play with today. All right, well, we've got 2 copies of Codis, which is actually not that good, because if your opponent plays a single 3/3 blocker, it's not going to do anything. It's not going to ever attack through and get its triggers. But if you build around it a good amount, if you have a ton of removal to go with it, or a ton of ways to buff it up with +1/+1 counters, you can make it a pretty significant threat. So double Codis could still definitely be a reason to consider Sultai. What I think is 100% going to happen here is we're going to play blue. Meringue River Regent is the strongest blue rare in the whole set. It's a very flexible and powerful card. A 6 mana, 6/7 flyer that bounces 2 things is absurd. Getting the card draw spell attached is great. The Fleshcrafter is also really good in this format because there's tons of bomb rares and mythics and really powerful creatures to copy with this, especially in sealed, where everyone has access to 6 rares minimum in their sealed pool, and oftentimes more with play boosters. As we see here, we opened 8 rares, so Fleshcrafter plays pretty well. So blue, I think, is our best color. It's got 2 great monocolored cards, and 4 of our multicolored rares have blue in them. We've also got 1 decent Jeskai rare, 1 very strong Teamer rare, and then the other cards we have, Sinkhole Surveyor, if we go like Sultai here, blue-black at the core, splash a little green, I guess. That way we can have Sinkhole Surveyor in the early game consistently. And then 1 Mardu rare, Inevitable Defeat, looks like the least likely color trio to play, unless we have a bunch of really good fixing. You can definitely play 4 or 5 color with enough fixing in your sealed pool in this set. So we're going to start off right off the bat checking out our multicolored and colorless stuff to see how much fixing we really have. Our colorless cards are unfortunately unplayable. They are not going to help us mana fix or even help the deck at all. When it comes to mana fixing out of the multicolored cards, we have 1 Opulent Palace for Sultai, 1 Mardu Monument for Mardu, 1 Windscarred Crag for Mardu, 1 Tranquil Cove and 1 Swiftwater Cliffs. This is a really low amount of fixing in terms of the multicolor spells. 1 Triland, 1 Monument, and 3 duels total. Awkwardly, maybe beneficially, all of the dual lands align in Jeskai. They're all blue, red, and white. So they don't help the Sultai deck at all that we were considering because of the double Kotis. They don't help the Teamer deck either with the Eshki. I guess one of them helps Teamer, the blue-red one, so that's a little awkward. But this Opulent Palace helps a lot. Obviously, that's one really good Sultai land, and it's also a land that helps Teamer just as a green-blue dual land. So that's interesting, but it doesn't look like we're going to have enough fixing to go like 4 or 5 color here, especially because the only other way we could have some fixing here is having some of the really good green mana fixing. Our green mana fixing is a single copy of Sagu Wildling, which is very good fixing in and of itself, but you do need multiple copies for it to be consistent fixing. So a single Sagu Wildling does not a 5-color deck make. We're going to have to play something more focused on just a specific clan or like a specific 2-color pair splashing in a third. So let's check out the card quality in all of our colors individually right now. Just cutting out the basically unplayable cards and looking at the quality here. Dragonstorm's really good if you have any dragons to pick it up, but there's none in the white by itself. So this really depends on our second color, how good white's going to be, but it could be pretty decent. We have some really good cards, Pack Beast, Dragonstorm, Osseous Exhale, Descendant of Storms here. Pack Beasts can play really well if we find some synergies in our secondary color, but it doesn't look like it does anything particularly good just in our mono white deck here. And then there's certainly some filler. The Sun Shields, the Battle Priest, Coordinated Maneuver. White looks fine. Not super exciting, but certainly not unplayable. Blue has the strongest rare that we could open in the color, so that's a huge reason to play blue. We also have the Fleshcrafter here, another great card. Double Sig Appraiser. These are really good ways to dig towards your big scary bombs and cast them more consistently. It's just a good way to draw some cards while committing to the board and getting some blocks in early. Dispelling Exhale plays great in this format, counters your opponent's gigantic dragon bombs. Blue looks very, very nice. I certainly like it better than our white, even though it's technically a little bit lower of a quantity of cards. The quality is much, much higher. Our blue looks fantastic. Black now. We have Aggressive Negotiations actually being pretty decent in sealed. Most players are going to be 3+ colors, playing all the best rares in their sealed pool, which is often going to be 3+ rare decks. So being able to thought seize your opponent before they drop their 6-mana bomb is fantastic. And black is also giving us access to Dragon's Prey, Strategic Betrayal for removal spells. Not a huge fan of Strategic Betrayal. You don't get to choose what you're killing with that card. But in the right position, it's still pretty good. Probably will have to play Worthy Cost as well if we go like blue-black at the core. This is not the greatest removal because you do have to sacrifice something to cast it, but we have a little bit of synergy for it. We can endure one with Nurturer, endure one with Surveyor. We don't care too much if Alchemist's Assistant dies because it's got an ability in our graveyard as well. But we certainly don't have a lot of Mobilize to go with this, which is what makes it really easy to cast, because your mobilized tokens will sacrifice themselves in the end step anyway. So there's really no downside to sacrificing a mobilized token to that spell. All right, check out the red now. Red looks fine. This looks about the quality of our white. We've got a really good Strike Master, really good Vanguard, decent filler removal, and that's about it. Everybody else here is just like fine filler. So it doesn't seem like there's any massive reason to play red, but it could be a decent support color if we really want to play our Teamer Mythic Rare. And last but not least, we've got green here. Nest Guard is a really bad card. Stormbrood is much better when you have access to black. And we are kind of interested in the Sultai deck here. Seeing as I did like our black a decent amount, and I really liked our blue, so Stormbrood fits really well towards Sultai, gives us more removal with Petty Revenge, green gives us more removal with Knockout Maneuver, Snakeskin Veil to protect our scariest cards, and of course playing this color trio gives us double Cotis, and we do actually have decent ways to use them. I don't think they're going to be tremendously impressive, but they're certainly going to be playable when we have multiple renew creatures to put counters on them, a synchronized charge to put counters on them, and a knockout maneuver to put counters on them. So I think this sealed pool really does just look like Sultai Cotis kind of builds itself. It's possible with good enough random fixing that the Eshki Dragonclaw could still be worth splashing in here. Because if you flurry, draw a card, make this really big, this is very, very good if you get like a single trigger off with it. Splashing red also gives us Glacial Dragon Hunt, which is a very nice, efficient removal spell. What if we splash the other way around? That's a question here. So, let's see. Those lands are not what you want to see when you're considering splashing into a fourth color. So for Sultai and Temur, we have 2 total lands to help the fixing here, to help the splash out, and 1 single Saga Wildling. I'm not sure I can justify it at that point. Yeah, I was gonna see, what does it look like if we're like Temur at the core splashing the black? Is that actually better? Probably not. I mean, with the fixing the way it looks here, I'm not sure we can even splash either way around. We probably have to be just 2-color splash a third, because even 2-color splash a third for 1 dedicated clan to play is gonna be awkward mana here. Just without the fixing here like this sealed pool lacks. So probably blue-green splash red or blue-green splash black. The best red late game spells would be putting in Dragon Hunt because it's just fantastic. Putting in Eshki, double Tawny back's good. Dragon Claw Strike's fine. Narset's Rebuke for late removal. It's probably about where we want to be in Temur. Although Unending Whisper goes up a lot in value when you have a card like Eshki Dragonclaw. This makes it really easy to cast a non-creature. It's good with flurry type spells, and obviously the Dragonclaw is sort of a flurrier there. There's a slightly awkward part if we do play the black, and that's that our best black card is a 2-mana card we really want to play on turn 2 and get those attacks off with as quickly as possible. So the Sultai version of this, I think, kind of has to play black as a core color over blue or green. We'll decide that later, though. Let's keep taking a peek at our pure Temur build. Anything else we want to play around with? I could play this as a 4-mana draw spell. It's not horrible. Even without access to black mana. I mean, I do really like the look of this, actually. Temur might be better than Sultai. Right, because what are we gaining from playing black? From playing black instead of playing red, we're gaining a Sinkhole Surveyor, the double Cotis that we have okay synergies for, but not quite enough to make them really good. And some removal spells, but we have kind of same number of removal by moving into red here with Dragonclaw Strike, Dragon Hunt. I guess I can play Dragonclaw Strike even if I'm not playing red. It's just more easy to cast in the red deck. But we get a Dragon Spray over the Glacial Dragon Hunt, and then a Strategic Betrayal in addition. Not so sure we're going to get to play Worthy Cost, though. But I've got the Narset's Rebuke from playing red, so Narset's Rebuke plus Dragon Hunt versus Dragon's Prey plus Strategic Betrayal, and then like maybe a Worthy Cost. Honestly, the removal's kind of equivalent here, dabbling with red as we gain access to by playing black. Yeah, I'm gonna refine this deck a little bit, cut it down to the 40 cards, and then save it, so that if I do decide that the Temur is better than Sultai that I don't have to rebuild the deck at that point, if that's what we decide. Now, we might not play Stormbrood without the black mana. I've got one black source with Opulent Palace. I'm not going to play a Swamp for Petty Revenge. So I guess there was that to consider as well that I forgot about. There actually is a little more removal in black than red because we also get Petty Revenge out of black. But that's removal just for the small stuff, so it's only really good against any Mardu opponents or Jeskai opponents, anybody who gets like the streamlined Boros aggro sealed pool, which shouldn't happen insanely often. So it's just okay removal, I think, against most decks. Not missing out on the greatest thing in the universe there. Although, this card's honestly still main deckable, probably, even without access to black. 5 mana, 3/3 flyer, blow up an artifact or enchantment. That'll happen enough of the time to pay off for the times that you don't get to blow something up with it, I think. 16 creatures. Could definitely just cut a couple creatures here, but we don't really have any dedicated card draw in here, so I do want to keep in Bargain. Maybe not that aggressive for Synchronized Charge, and maybe Constrictor Sage has been kind of slow. Sage of the Fang's kind of just aggro, +1/+1 counter card. Got a lot of 3-drops here as well, and I like the other 4 3-drops better. Yeah, some combination of 2 of these, I think, are the cut here. I've actually got some pretty beefy creatures. I kind of like Synchronized Charge as a finisher here, even with a lower creature count. Let's cut Stormbrood and Constrictor Sage, I think. I do think that there is a pretty significant hit in the quality of this card when you don't have access to the black. Although I guess for curve purposes, ditch a 5-drop and ditch a 3-drop. This is our 5th 3-drop. Yeah, it's very close between the Stormbrood and the Sage of the Fang. I think I'm definitely cutting Constrictor Sage, though. Yeah, let's drop double Sage, because it's kind of funny. Get rid of all the Sages. We don't need any Wisdom today. Double check our mana base here. We've got 14 green cards, 13 blue, and 6 red. I'm sitting on 8 green sources, 7 blue, and 4 red. That feels pretty perfect. I've only got one spell out of green that lets me pick up my other colors, and that's Sagu Wildling. So there's often times where I'll have 2 or 3 copies of Sagu Wildling plus one other piece of green fixing, and I'll see that as a reason to, oh, I should cut down pretty low on my secondary color and very, very high on green, because I know anytime I have access to green, I'll be able to turn that into mana of another color. But this isn't one of those decks. Like, a lot of the times with this few red cards and enough Saga Wildlings, I'd be like, okay, I can just play like 2 mountains here and just always tutor them out. But this deck can't really always tutor them out. It's got 1 Saga Wildling, so I actually agree with the way Arena has auto-suggested the mana base this time around. So this looks like a very, very decent teamer build here. Certainly average for sealed standards, because again, you can open up to like 10, 12 rares in these sealed pools, and you can certainly open up a lot more fixing than our deck opened up and play a much, much bombier deck than this. But this deck is still balmy. We have 3 rares in here, 2 of which are fantastic, Meringue River Regent and Naga Fleshcrafter. I have never played Eshki Dragonclaw before, though, and I don't believe I've really played against it that often, which is surprising because I've played this set a lot. So I've got less experience with Eshki, but I imagine she's also quite good, especially with our nice high non-creature count here. That's part of the benefits of running the slightly lower creature count. To get our non-creature count higher, we can trigger Eshki more often that way. So yeah, this looks like a very, very, very reasonable deck here. Maybe slightly above average. Most sealed decks do look, again, very, very balmy, very high card quality. So I don't want to overstate how good this deck is. It looks quite good, but I think most sealed decks will. But it is quite decent at the very least. So I'm going to save that deck. and then take a peek at the Sultai brew and see if that looks better to me. I doubt that it will, because I honestly do think that Eshki is probably worth 2 Codices in terms of power level, but by playing Sultai, we get 2 Codices and Sinkhole Surveyor. The problem is we need to find a way to play black as a core color in order to get those Sinkhole Surveyors out early. So that'll be something like black, green, or blue, black. We've got some +1/+1 counter shenanigans about here, which is certainly interesting. It means we actually do play the Sage of the Fang in this brew. Possible the Aegis Sculptor gets a little better. That card is still really slow, probably not running it. Okay, it's going to be real hard for me to not justify running blue as a core color when I have got double Sipsig Appraiser I want to play on 3. Plus a double blue Incredible Bomb rare. Yeah, this will make the mana base for this deck a little worse because we don't have access to Sagu Wildling as consistently when green becomes the splash. But I think black is kind of required as a core color to get Sinkhole Surveyor out on 2. And again, the blue has really powerful cards that need double blue and that show up early. Probably don't need the Dragon Claw Strike when I'm Sultai, getting access to all the black removal here. Probably don't need the Tawny Backs when they're always 4 mana in this deck. They're never 3 mana, and I've got a lot of 4 mana options. It's probably going to be Fleshcrafter, Pummeler, Double Codis. Stalwart Successor does some cute things in here off the splash with like double aggressive negotiations and knockout maneuver and synchronized charge and all of our renew cards putting counters on the board. Snakeskin Veil works with it too. That's pretty cute. I think Worthy Cost quite makes it. So even without Worthy Cost, we will have Petty Revenge, Dragon's Prey, Knockout Maneuver, Strategic Betrayal, a counterspell here. I just don't think we're that good at sacrificing cards. Sacrificing a Sipsig Appraiser is okay to Worthy Cost. And then we have 1 Endure 1/1, 2 Endure 1/1s. So 2 cards we're very okay with sacrificing. And then 2 other ones that it's like, okay, we don't have to feel awful. It's still only like 4 cards total. And again, this is really for mobilizing. We don't need the Death Gorgers. River Regent and Rakshasa up there. Although the +1 counter, the Dusk Sight Omen, does look fine for this deck, like with the Codices and the Successor. A little hard to run the Dust Sights though when I've got aggressive negotiations kind of taking up the card selection +1/+1 counter reroll. This one putting our opponent at a card disadvantage instead of putting us at card advantage. I think I'm cutting those. Might also cut the Rakshasa, honestly. Get kind of aggressive with this one. Yeah, I mean, this deck does look pretty fine. It's got some fun synergy things we can try to do with +1/+1 counters alongside Codis, the Successor into Codis and stuff, but my personal favorite cards, the things that I think are personally just higher card quality on average, are all within Temur. I really like even the Temur Tawny back kind of commons. I've been very impressed by 3 mana 4/3, draw a card, discard a card, but Glacial Dragon Hunt I like better than pretty much all of our black removal spells. Eshki I like better than Double Codis. It's a little bit of a personal taste thing here. I think both of these decks are relatively comparable, but I am definitely leaning towards the Temur build, so I am going to stick with that in the end. Take one last peek at it. And yeah, this is the Temur deck here. got a bit of a better mana curve here. I prefer the kind of card advantage things going around here. The amount of, just random draw plus discard. The mana's certainly better. We have another dual land to be in this color trio, and a Sagu Wildling that's much more consistently castable because green is a core color this time around. We've still got pretty much just as good bomb power because we have River Regent, Dragonclaw, and Fleshcrafter. Yeah, I prefer this deck, and that's what I'm going to lock in on here as we call it a deck, hop into the gameplay, and see how far we can get. Alright, here we are on the play for game number 1. Need to top deck a land here. Anything but a forest will get us to turn 3 Tawny back for the card selection needed to draw into another land. If we get to the 4th land, we can coil and catch, worst case scenario, to dig into more mana and cast some spells there. We do have a Harmonizer and a Renewer, so 2 very good cards to discard to the Tawny back for value while we're getting card selection. Our top deck's not terrible. I would have preferred to draw on any land for the Tawny back, but drawing a 2-drop is good too. That way we get to curve out, and if we get really lucky and immediately draw the 3rd land the turn after drawing the 2-drop, then it does play incredibly well. So we get to curve into that 4th mana. Ditch the Synchronized Charge, which is very recastable here off the Harmonize ability. We've got a 4-power creature on board for it. There's a Tursa from our opponent. They've got a mono red hand here, so I'd be very surprised if they don't discard 2 cards looking for a secondary color, and they do. Discard a mountain and not a swamp, a Storm Singer looking for a swamp. They are not going to attack into the Tawny back here. I have naturally drawn the 4th mana, so I can Sagu Pummeler this turn to have the 4/4 blocker up against the 3/3. I don't mind trading the 4/3 into their 3/3 here. I was going to do that on blocks anyway. I don't think it's worth Snakeskin Veiling. I don't have the mana to do that and play anything else decent onto the board. Abzan Monument is the play from our opponent, so they are way more colors than you expect when your opponent plays 3 mountains in a row. Basically shouldn't really be playing the monuments unless you have access to all 3 of their colors. So this looks like 4 color from our opponent, everything except blue. There's Corroding Dragonstorm to drain us for a couple life and Surveil 2. It's pretty good for us because currently we have the lead on the board. We can get a lot of damage in here if they just cast some spells like this that don't impact the board in terms of blockers here. And there we go, there's land 5, so I'm locked in to the turn 6 River Regent, which should be fantastic. I think I play the green source first though, so I can harmonize Synchronized Charge here. Do I harmonize Synchronized Charge though, realistically? 2 +1/+1 counters on the board. Just hit for 6. You know, I can hit for 6 and then do it post-combat. Spread out the threats. That feels worth it, thanks to the Vigilance. Cool. Don't really want to hold Snakeskin Veil up because I've got a way better card for Snakeskin Veil later. No! That's tragic. They blow up my land. We got land destruction here. So we will not get to play our Bomb Rare next turn. We'll have to wait a little longer. Plus a 5 toughness 4 mana card here to stop the attacks too. I guess we probably do just Snakeskin Veil then at this point. I am willing to sack Undergrowth Leopard to get 6 damage in here. Or Inoc Wayfarer to get 7 damage in here. And if they block the Sagu Pummeler, I can just Snakeskin Veil. Okay. And blocking Leopard's really not the end of the world, because we get to also blow up the Abzan Monument, make sure that doesn't give them another blocker later. So it's not a complete chump attack to get the rest of the damage in, if that's how they block. It is a complete chump attack if they block the Inoc Wayfarer. But I think with the River Regent bouncing 2 of their blockers here, we're likely enough to be able to swing for lethal quickly if we push them down on life here, that I am interested in pushing that damage. That said, Quarry Mountain Stalwart to go with their Dragonstorm now, so they're trying to gain like 4 life a turn is so much life gain. I mean, River Regent bouncing the Hellkite here is going to allow them to then double spell, picking up the Dragonstorm again, gaining more life. It's gonna be annoying, but it's still definitely the play. Because now they're just gonna gain a bunch more life recasting these things, but it shouldn't be able to outpace the damage we have on board, especially when we've now got a 6/7 flying dragon. But they are... I mean, as much as you can pop off while you're dying on board, they're kind of popping off. Alright, yeah, there's the concession from our opponent. We are 1-0 now, heading into game 2. Here we are for game 2. Great mana. Turn 3 Tawny back. Yeah, that's key. We are on the play here again. Get the tap land out of the way. Depending on the draw, we might Roost Seek on 2, but if we top deck the land, I think we just hold on to the Wildling. Bearer of Glory. Hello there. Draw a card, discard a card. We have a Harmonizer in hand. Although, I only have 1 5-drop in the hand. Could ditch a land here, and if I draw a bunch of spells and I need more mana, I can just turn the Wildling into a land anyway. It's a little bit of flood prevention there, ditching the land instead. Because I kind of do still have 5 lands in hand. All of our spells are cheap enough to easily cast a Roost Seek in the same turn. So green and white from our opponent so far. There's the Nest Guard, which is actually kind of an annoying blocker, but Dragonclaw Strike goes pretty hard here. Becomes an 8/6. 8/6. 6 toughness is still enough for Bearer of Glory to actually kill it awkwardly. Okay, what if I make it a 2+1/+1 counters, and it's got 5 toughness, a double block would kill it, but we'd kill both their cards. Shoot. So I can strike, have 6 toughness, and then if they double block, also Snakeskin Veil. It's not perfect in the slightest. This is certainly a little greedy, but I'm very interested in giving Trample the same turn that I use Dragonclaw Strike. So I'm going to try to wait till next turn, then cast Synchronized Charge first, followed by Dragonclaw Strike. That's only going to be a good play if they're tapped out, which they have tapped out here, so should be good. So now I can have 10 toughness. They have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 power on the board. So they do not have enough. So 10 toughness, 12 power, huge trample swing for the turn. Pretty beautiful turn here. More concerned about the Sunshield's ability to repeatedly tap our creatures than I am concerned about the Nest Guard being slightly bigger. So I'm gonna Dragonclaw Strike the Sunshield. Double check the math here, make sure I'm not crazy. We've got a 6/5. 6/5 turns into a 12/10. 10 toughness, that's 7, 8, 9 power. Yep, this is viable. Alright, hit for 12. They're at 8 life now. Unfortunately, don't quite have the mana to have Snakeskin Veil up alongside this, but they don't have the removal yet regardless. 1 mana off from playing Wildling plus Harmonizing Synchronized Charge. That's also a little sad. I could play Leopard and synchronize the charge for a green and 2. And then still have Snakeskin Veil up. This will be 7 toughness. They have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 power. I do force them to block with all 3, so I kill their whole board with the Tawny back if I play that way. It's 8 power. No, I don't kill the whole board. Wait, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I do. They have exactly 8 toughness. That feels worth it. So they can triple block and we can just trade our whole boards off. Cool. And then try to kill them with a flyer and a hexproof trick to save it. There's a Host of the Hereafter to keep the Undergrowth Leopard off them. Alright, Saga Wildling plus Snakeskin Veil is a 2-turn kill if they try to blow this up next turn. We make it a 4-4, and 2 swings of 4 finishes things off. Skirmish Rhino, never mind, that's life gain for our opponent. It's also a very beefy creature on the ground, which is sketchy. In terms of them actually working on outracing us now. Alright, cool. Counter their removal, top deck a land. We are going to need 1 or 2 more spells to close this out, I think. Yep, certainly going to need more. With the Hollow Merc Siege rare coming down here. 2 +1/+1 counters on the board? No, the host doesn't double them, it just lets them move them. Okay, so 1 counter on the board every turn. I could Leopard the Siege away. I guess on a future turn I could go like Chump plus blow up the Siege. Okay, Eshki is something. We win the race here, especially with Eshki. They haven't had removal for Wildling yet, so unless they top deck the removal for Wildling right now, we win the race. They didn't top deck removal, but they top decked a blocker for the Wildling. Do we blow up the Hollow Merc Siege here at this point? If they attack with 1 creature, they only have 2 blockers up, and I can put them to 1 life on board, so if I draw anything that clears out a single blocker or deals a single damage to them, they're dead. I've got like Knockout Maneuver for +1/+1 counter, Narset's Rebuke to clear something out. I think I'm supposed to just take the damage again, because if they declare an attack to get Hollow Merc Siege value, there are a ton of lethal top decks. Could trade Eshki into this Rhino. There's still a ton of lethal top decks if I do that, but I think there's more if I don't. Unending Whisper could be one of them. If I draw basically any creature off of this. It's easy enough to harmonize here to make it more likely. Oh boy, okay. Don't think I'm supposed to harmonize when I'm 1 damage from lethal if I leave these creatures untapped. Gross. 2 blue spells. If I live one more turn, I can use Fleshcrafter to make my whole board flying and kill them. The Fleshcrafter's a good hit, but the rest of these are awful. I think we put the Fleshcrafter in grave. Trying to hit lethal next turn. I can't attack in here. Man, I'm forced into bad blocks this turn, though, which means that Fleshcrafter doesn't get the damage in right now. Have to Leopard the Siege? I don't think so. Menace the Flyer. 4 in the sky no matter what. Chump the 5 to 8. Menace the 5/5. Chump the sky. Take 6. Yeah, I don't have to sack the leopard here. See what they top decked here. It's got to be a removal spell or a flyer. Again. Not a removal spell or a flyer. Not a removal spell or a flyer. I believe that is game. For +1/+1 on a non-legendary you control, each other creature you control becomes a copy of that creature till end of turn. So we target the flying creature. Hit for 3 in the sky. Stress-inducing game there. That was incredibly close there. Just a single swing from death. But another victory for us, and we are 2-0 heading to Game 3. Here we are for Game 3. This is a pretty slow hand, but I think it's serviceable and sealed. The games tend to be pretty slow. And Glacial Dragon Hunt improves it a ton. If this were in the opening hand over the third land or the Pummeler or something, this would have been a snap keep. Dragon Hunt goes really hard here. Discard the Pummeler because it's got a good ability in our grave and we can just play Dragon Claw on turn 4. No Black Source to bargain early here, but that's fair enough. We have 1 Black Source in the whole deck. This is a 4-mana draw spell for our deck, generally. Here's an Eshki, which at the very least is kind of expensive for them to deal with. I have no other play for the turn, so I kind of have to let them kill this if they have the efficient removal. Ooh, they have really efficient removal? Yeah, wow, so they can do it right now at instant speed. That is incredible for our opponent. They don't even have to tap out on their next turn. Just get to use all that mana they had left over anyway. Okay, Narset's Rebuke is not awful here. It's not like super good because we're not casting anything alongside it, but it's a good instant to hold up if we don't bargain. I'm probably just going to bargain, go down to 13 for now. Come on. Hollowberg Siege again. Sketchy. That is incredibly sketchy with the Tomb Guard out as well. So we're going to have to rebuke the Tomb Guard to stop them from drawing cards off this thing. Yep, that's the right spot to put the counter. Because I have to kill the Tomb Guard. So they get to keep the counter on the assistant. Dragonclaw Strike is the draw. So next turn I can just Fleshcraft whatever they play and Dragonclaw Strike it. Which is hilarious and awesome. That Glacial Dragon Hunt top deck at the start of this game, I can't even explain just how incredibly good that was. Pick up Sultai Devotee, so they need blue mana here. Okay, so we're gonna Fleshcraft the Road Watcher. Oh no. Okay, so it enters as a copy of a creature. I have cast this, and then it's a copy that I feel like I get the enter trigger if I Fleshcrafter their Road Watcher. The thing is, even if I don't think I really have a choice here. Because I need a creature on board to Dragonclaw Strike. I guess I could Fleshcrafter the Devotee in order to bargain in the same turn. If I know that Road Watcher doesn't trigger off Fleshcrafter, but I think it triggers. Because I am casting this and it is entering as a copy of Road Watcher. So it is entering as Road Watcher before it even hits the board, right? So it'll see itself being cast, in theory. This is a pretty narrow rules thing that I'm not sure of. We'll see. Okay, good. Good. So I can pick up the leopard and blow up their nonsense. Although I'm fine with them getting another turn with it, I think. Just Dragonclaw striking for now. I guess I don't really need to Dragonclaw strike their current board. So I could make Road Watcher a 5/5 if I tap it and hold no blockers up. Take 5 damage on the crackback. Yeah, Dragonclaw Strike's not the greatest against a Death Toucher. So if I strike, I'm just killing Road Watcher. Yeah, I think it's worth killing the Siege here. And then it's like, do I hold up a blocker or do I Synchronize Charge? I think I'm going to Synchronize Charge this and take the damage for a turn. Alright, our opponent is potentially 5 color. They have a Sultai Devotee down. They have Nomad Outposts, also giving them red. But the thing about the tri-lands that is hard to decipher what your opponent's playing exactly is that they're playable even just 2 of the 3 colors, right? If they're just black and white. Okay, Stormbrood for the Trampler or the Death Toucher here feels good. Oh wait, no, I don't have black mana. I'm not a black deck. Right. So Stormbrood after blowing up the Siege feels bad, actually. I lied. Yeah, that's tragic. Okay. Bargain. Blow up the Trampler. I've got the 5/5 to block the 3/3. They could pummel her and make their 3/3 a 5/5, so we trade. Okay, I needed something good here. I found some stuff that is decent. I think I'm gonna knockout maneuver over Dragonclaw Strike then. Now I'm a 6/6 against a potential 5/5. Still having a rough time against the Death Touch though. Cast the 5 mana 3/3 dragon artifact creature so I can Stormbrood it. I beg. Oh god, what's the draw? Just removal for Road Watcher? Yep. Top deck removal for Road Watcher. We go to 2. Yikes. Well, I have one play where I'm not dead next turn, so I have to make that play. This way they put the counters on Devotee. It still only has 3 toughness and we trade on blocks. So they don't put the counters on because I'm already forced to trade. They can keep those counters for another card later. Ooh, Unending Whisper's a good draw. Oh, Sipsig Appraiser's a good draw. Top deck champion. Yeah, I think that was the right auto tap. I'm gonna need this for blue, so this is my only red to hold up. Okay, those were not great draws. We finally missed. I guess they could kill me with a haster if I tap out for this Unending Whisper. So probably slightly greedier than need be. I can hold up a Snakeskin Veil and a Dispelling Exhale. Not that Exhale's likely to counter anything, but there are like some 8-mana Bomb Raiders they could randomly have. Okay, Exhale does not counter the 4/4 reach. Yikes. Yep. I can make our thing a 4/4 and force them to make their thing a 6/6. I don't even know how valuable that is. Probably not much. Wayfarer. I'm down to 9 cards in deck. When did I self-mill so much? I guess Rakshasa's bargain? This game has gone on way longer than I thought. We're down to 9 cards. I mean, we have 9 cards left. I have to mill 3 to play this thing. I don't think I have the life total to not do that. But then what happens when I hit my 1 Bomb Rare Dragon out of the 9 cards now? I could do this and draw a card, but then I don't have any blocks. Oh boy. Okay, technically, our Bomb Rare Dragon is more likely to be in the bottom 6 than the top 3. So we'll just mill towards it and we'll be fine, and then we'll kill them before we mill out. Oh my god, 3 spells? Ow. Ouchie, Arena. Well, here's my my 6 power to trade into their pummeler here. That is going to be a 6/6. At least I didn't mill the Bomb Dragon. Do I have any Omens left in my deck? I have Sagu Wildling. Okay, I can't mill out if I have Sagu Wildling, but if I run out of cards and I just keep recasting a Sagu Wildling for nothing every turn, I am going to eventually lose. So we need to get a demanding lead on the board, which we currently obviously don't have. Are there even any more red cards in the deck? There's 1 Teamer Tawny back. 3, 4, 6. Yeah, I can still cast Tawny back off this. There's the Wildling to make sure we don't mill out. We have to pass again. Didn't really draw into anything there. Okay. Here's the turn. We have to start getting damage in. Although we do kill pretty quick here, even against 34 life. Because of Fleshcrafter to make everybody a flying 6 power creature. Three cards left. Again, I can keep omening this, but then they keep drawing a card every turn while I do nothing. While I draw nothing, I can keep attacking during that time. I have the Veil to protect the River Regent and a Dispelling Exhale to protect it. Death Toucher on the ground is fine. The issue is when they put the reach counters onto it, and there's nothing I can do about that. I can make it cost them 4 more so they can't put the reach counters on it this turn. That's honestly kind of a big deal, and they have so much mana here, we're really unlikely to fully counter something with Exhale. So I think it is worth the tempo of getting them to tap out for the turn and not have a reach blocker up. Yeah, because now they can't put the pummeler counters onto this turn. They have to do it next turn for 5 mana. I might hardcast Saga Wildling. There is risk to that, but I might hardcast Saga Wildling. I think it gets them killed a turn sooner, because then we get to attack all with 4 creatures with 6 power. 3 of them get through for 18. If I can do 10 damage to them this turn, I can do 18 next turn and seal things off by playing Wildling. Okay, I definitely play Tawny back. Okay, now I can lethal them even without playing Wildling here, and I know I have the Wildling for the Omen still. Okay, I do actually need one more creature here to lethal next turn. Because they're going to have 1 blocker up. They could have 2 blockers up if they don't block with Brigade. I guess it all depends how they block here, whether or not we cast Wildling. Obviously, there's huge risk in casting Wildling if they top deck like a full-on board wipe or something, but if they top deck removal, I have the Snakeskin Veil. So let's do the math here. They're at 22. We do not kill them in 1 turn, off of 6 power creatures with Fleshcrafter. This will be 7 power, so 7 plus 12 is 19. That's not a lethal hit, but with Wildling it is. There's obviously monumental risk to this, because if I don't find lethal next turn, I just lose. And actually with Wildling it isn't lethal then, right? Because they play a Pummeler. They block the 7 power one, and they take 6 times 3. So they take 18. So it's not lethal, right? So I have to use this as the Omen starting next turn. Okay. Yeah, I have to grind out a longer kill here. Which means I need them to not hit removal, because I need them to make a 7 power Pummeler, and then I Snakeskin Veil to make Regent a 7/8 to kill it. That's the only way to get through that. Because I have no more creatures left to play. I can't get any wider for a big, wide lethal swing. I have to have this River Regent go the full distance. I mean, I guess Fleshcrafter can make it 7 power too, the turn that I do that. If they're thinking this long, they drew another spell. They are going to make that a 7/7? Yep. Yep. I hate using the Fleshcrafter here right now before I can get a lot more damage out of it later. But I also hate using Snakeskin Veil because then I don't have protection against removal from opponent. But I think I have to use the Snakeskin Veil here. To keep the Fleshcrafter for a turn where I can get these in without them dying. Some kind of graveyard synergy here. Man, alright. I think that's as well as we possibly could have played that, but Graveyard Recursion on the Rhino to drain for the final 2. That'll get us. Yeah, I don't think we could have played the end of that any better. Maybe earlier with the Undergrowth Leopard able to blow up the Siege. Maybe we kill that a little earlier and save a little more life to buy time for a few more swings, but man. Alright. 2-1, heading into game number 4. Here we are now for game number 4. Excellent mana here. We are on the draw, playing against a red deck. Green-red, there's the Sunset Strike Master to ramp them up. That's a really good opener on the play. On the play plus a Mana Dork means they're casting 4 mana spells while I have 2 lands on board. Oh. Or they just slam for 3. Oh my god. Alright, and then 3 mana bomb, Rare Warden of the Grove. When we have not drawn any removal yet, we need to find something good. It's got to be better than Glacial Dragonfire too, because it's too late. Even Disruptive Stormbrood's too late because they were on the play. Had we been on the play, this would have been enough. This would have been just in time to kill that before it becomes a 4/4, but now it's going to be out of reach. Man. Alright, so we're going to have to Fleshcrafter their thing then. And hope to outclass their Warden with our own. This is going to be a difficult game. Well, that's sealed for you. Oh, good lord. You still just make one Warden of the Grove, right? Because I can't Stormbrood any of them. We're just not winning. They already have 11 power on board now. God, man. Well, that's absurd. You got me. Play a third. Play a third Warden of the Grove, please. Dragonstorm Globe. Like a Molten Exhale too. Overwhelming Surge, same difference. The most tragic part about this is despite how incredible their opening hand is, this game is still manageable on the play. Because we kill the first Warden, which means the second one wouldn't immediately come with a counter. And then our Fleshcrafter on the Warden would actually be racing with theirs. But this is just completely unmanageable on the draw. All I can do is play a chump blocker this turn. Might as well play a chump blocker that could hit a land to also Stormbreed the Strike Master. Nope. So we chump, go to 4. What a pool. That obviously does not work with Equilibrium at all. But what a sealed pool. They've got the Molten Exhale as well. This is insane. All right, well, first loss was the only game that really could have gone differently there. You only get 2 losses in these Arena Directs, which is incredibly painful when you get a game like that last game. I think 99% of sealed decks lose that game. Yeah, not much you can do about that. Our first loss might have been changeable with some more defensive plays early. I think that's where there was potentially room to maneuver and end the game a little differently. It was unlikely, but it's maybe the kind of thing where a long chain reaction over a ton of turns makes that game pan out differently, but does not look like we would have made it to the boxes no matter what, because even if we won that game, we'd be 3-1 right now. We'd have to win 4 games in a row after that, And I don't think this deck is quite that good. This is kind of what I was saying with the deck building, where I'm like, yeah, we've got a nice consistent deck, decent amount of removal, and some really good rares, but sealed is sealed. You're going to see some absolute nonsense to where this is actually just about the average sealed deck here. We did not really have good enough fixing to try to do the 4-5 color play all of our bombs deck. I think we picked the best consistent deck that we could run here, and still had some good power in the deck. But it is not enough to compete against 2 Warden of the Groves, turn 3 and turn 4 there. So 2-2 it is. About as big of a bummer as possible. Our very first run of the brand new Arena Direct system, and we get hosed by it astronomically. This is a much worse system anytime that you get 0, 1, or 2 wins, because then you've paid 1,000 more gems for absolutely no difference in your payout here. We're just down 1,000 more gems than we would have been in the old system, so that's kind of a bummer of a way to start off the new Arena Directs, but it is what it is. Sealed is what it is. Magic is what it is. Things are gonna happen. And this deck was unfortunately not cut out to make it the full 7 wins this time around. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed and are interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.